You know, Terry, I am not a big collector of things, but I do like to look for unique vintage jewelry, clothing, items from my home.
Well, and you know what? This week there's a convention in town that may actually be something you're interested in. It's a big group of collectors, button collectors. In fact, they're in Grand Rapids for their annual National Button Society convention.
So today we've asked Jim Albanowski to come in and show us some of what is being featured at the convention. This is really interesting because not only are these beautiful buttons and interesting, but it's really kind of a lesson in history too.
Oh yeah, it covers a large stretch of history from the 1600s up through modern days. All different types of industrial inventions went into buttons. Some of the examples that I've brought with me are metal stamping, decorating on porcelain. All different techniques of painting on glass, oil painting, watercolors.
They're beautiful.
And stretched over a whole different age of the buttons. The Button Society puts these together as we're looking at some of the examples there in ways that we can show them off, and we do put together, I'll call it an award, where someone will ask to see buttons of metal buttons with pictures of dogs, or ceramic buttons with birds on them or flowers. So we have fun playing with them as well. Button collecting is a relatively large hobby, coin collecting, stamp collecting, those sort of collections. And we will display them in our homes. And one of the examples is a wood case that I brought along.
This one right here?
Yeah, the one in the center there. That's how we'll display them and hang them to show to each other. And
you know,
to
and
show to people.
it's interesting because you think of buttons as very functional, but they also have been very decorative through the years.
Some of the examples here are incredible pieces of artwork, and if the camera would do some close-ups, you can see some of the very interesting ones. At the bottom of the tray to my left here is a micro mosaic, which is a technique that was done in Italy, that is mosaics, tiny pieces of glass, several hundreds of pieces of glass embedded in a little square frame. That's a stud that would be used as, we would say, a cufflink on a men's shirt.
It's amazing. So a lot of these weren't for just kind of the everyday person. It was kind of like a privilege to be able to have this.
A lot of them are indeed very wealthy people back from 1800s. Women's buttons didn't really start to come in until early 1800s and really got going in the middle 1800s.
And you told us that people would remove the buttons in order to wash the clothing,
yes.
and that's why they look so great?
That's right, yes. And even into the to modern age, people were willing to cut them off and save them, not to throw anything away that had any value or any reuse.
Well, you know, you talk about value, and without getting too specific here, what's kind of the range in the value of these buttons?
They go all over the place. They're a modern button that you can literally go into a fabric store today. There's some very interesting buttons that are even being produced, are pennies a piece. Or some of the very old buttons, and actually going back especially into the military buttons of the Civil War period, the Confederate buttons will go for thousands of dollars. But they are few and far between, and not very often seen.
This is really interesting. So this starts tomorrow at DeVos Place and runs through Saturday.
Right. Well, actually, if someone wanted to come today, we're also in the Amway Grand, and we'll be working back and forth between the two places. There is an overall admission, a registration that would let people come and do some of the things that we have, a reception, or we have programs in the evening and so on. But then when we open on Thursday at DeVos, there will be a one-day admission people will be able to come and see the buttons on display. Which
$5 is so reasonable too.
It's we want to educate people. We want to introduce people to our hobby, and then there's also some programs. We do programs where we talk and explain about picture buttons. We're going to do cake greenaways. The people that are familiar with the old cake greenaway stories, that inspired a whole series of buttons.
Wow.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for sharing this opportunity with our viewers. And again, we'll have all the information, the hours, and where people can head down to see some great buttons. And if you have some that you're wondering, hey, what's the value?
Certainly can.
Buying and selling buttons as well. So thank you so
certainly
much.
can. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Coast Guard Festival kicked off this weekend. We're going behind the scenes of the Mackinac. Coming up.